Hello friends, I am Samir and I welcome you all to your own YouTube channel Aryabhatta. Friends, today in this video of logic we'll discuss about the three types of immediate inference which are converse, conversion, obversion and contraposition. But before moving towards the three type of immediate inference which are conversion, obversion and contraposition, first of all, let's discuss a very important principle which will be used or which is required in the process of discussion of aversion, conversion and contraposition. So that important law is the principle of distribution. So friend, what is this principle of distribution which is so much required here? The principle of distribution is a valid principle of deductive logic which states that in any deductive inference, if a term is distributed in the conclusion, then it should have been distributed in the premise. That is, no term should be distributed in the conclusion unless it is distributed in the premise. If a term is distributed in the premise, then only it can be distributed in the conclusion. This is the basic principle of distribution which we need to use or which we required in the process of aversion, conversion and contraposition of immediate inference. Okay friends, now let us discuss various type of immediate inference which are namely conversion, obversion and contraposition. So here in this video our main topic will be the first type of immediate inference which is conversion. Now what is a conversion? It is a kind of immediate inference, and you know friends, immediate inference, as we discussed earlier in the previous videos, that it is such a type of inference which contains only one premise and a conclusion. So only two propositions it contains, of which one is the premise and the other is a conclusion. So here the premise is called the convertent. Here in case of the conversion is a special kind of immediate inference where the only one premise which is present is called the convertent, and the conclusion of this immediate inference is called converse. So here we are dealing with a premise and a conclusion where the premise is called convertent and the conclusion is called converse. Now the proposition to which the conversion is applied or the proposition which is to be converted is called the convertent, and the result of the conclusion, the result or the conclusion is called the converse in the process of conversion. Here the conclusion is called converse, and here the premise on which the conversion is applied is called convertent. Friends, this conversion, aversion or contraposition, whichever immediate inference we are discussing, these all are coming under the valid arguments. They are valid arguments. That means these three type of inferences, they all contains one premise and one conclusion, but they are written under the law of conversion, obversion and contrapositions. They have specific rules for each type which we will discuss one by one. Then by following these three principles of version, conversion and contraposition, the total inference or statement or arguments that we are going to get, it's a valid argument. That's why it's a valid inference. Now, the conversion is a kind of immediate inference in which the subject and the predicate terms of the convertent are interchanged. Let me tell you, friends, I am using the subject term and predicate terms. I told you before also, before writing subject and predicate, we are using subject term and predicate terms, because in logic we know that a subject may contains more than one words and a predicate also contains more than one words. That's why we are not saying it only subject, we are saying it subject term, and the predicate we are saying as predicate terms. So what actually happens? What is the process of conversion? Let's discuss. The conversion is a kind of immediate inference in which the subject and the predicate terms of the convertent are interchanged. The quality of the converse is same as that of convertent, and also it satisfies the principle of distributions. That is, no term is distributed in the converse unless it is distributed in the convertent. So this is the total synopsis of the process of conversion. Let me tell you again that conversion is a kind of immediate inference where first of all we have to interchange the subject and predicate terms in the convertent and in the converse. Convertent is the premise and converse is the conclusion. So in the premise and in the conclusion, which are called convertent and converse, there what happens in this process of conversion? First of all, the subject and the predicate terms are interchanged. That means the subject term of the premise will act as the predicate term in the conclusion, and vice versa. Secondly, the quality of the converse is the same as that of the convertent. Both the premise and the conclusion, they have the same quality. That means, quality means we are talking about negative or affirmative. That means if it is affirmative, if the premise is affirmative, then the conclusion will be the same. And if the premise is negative, then the conclusion will be also negative. It will not change. And at last, at the third stage, we'll focus on the principle of distributions. And the converse is that the principle of distribution should not be violated. That means it should satisfy the principle of distributions. That is, no term is distributed in the converse unless it is distributed in the convertent. Okay, friends. Now let's move on for the three basic laws which an immediate inference should satisfy to make the converse of it. So you can see an immediate inference satisfying the following three rules or conditions is called conversion. So these three rules are those that I have just before it I told you. The first law is that the subject and the predicate terms of the convertent interchange their position in the converse. That is, the subject term of the convertent becomes the predicate term of the converse, and the predicate term of the convertent becomes the subject term of the converse. Let me tell you again that whenever I am saying convertent, it means the premise, the only one premise, and whenever I am saying converse, it means the conclusion, the statement. Okay, so this says that the subject and predicate in the convertent will their positions, interchange their positions in the conclusion. Second condition says that the quality of the converse is same as that of the quality of the convertend. That is, if the convertend is affirmative, then the converse is also affirmative, and if the convertend is negative, then the converse is also negative. So quality of the convertend and converse will be same. Both will be either affirmative or both will be negative in case of conversion. Now the third law says that the quantity of the converse will be determined according to the principle of distribution. So to determine the quantity of the converse statement, we have to follow the principle of distributions, which says that no term is distributed in the converse if it is not distributed in the convertend. So whenever I am telling about quantity, I means whether it is universal or particular. So it says that if the convertend is particular, then the converse will be also particular, and if the convertend is universal, then the converse will be also universal. So the principle of distribution should not be violated here. Now, to find the converse of any given convertend, we have to find the answer to these following questions. This question should come to our mind while making the converse out of the convertend. The four basic questions that should come to your mind are: what should be the subject of the converse? What should be the predicate of the converse? What should be the quality of the converse? And what should be the quantity of the converse? That means if you are converting a convertend to its converse, then what will happen to the subject of the converse? What will happen to the predicate of the converse? What will be the quality of the converse? Quality of the converse means it will be affirmative or negative. And what will be the quantity of the converse? Quantity means whether it will be particular or it will be universal. So all these four questions, important questions, should come to your mind while forming the converse from a given convertend in the process of conversions. So let's extend our topic further. Now we know that in logic we have four different type of propositions, namely A, E, I, O. And what is the structure of this type of four important type of propositions? The A represents all S is P. Let me tell you that S represents subject term and P represents predicate term. So S is the short form of the subject term and P is the short form of the predicate term. So A type of propositions, its structure is all S is P. E propositions, its structure is no S is P. I proposition, its structure is some S is P, and O proposition, its structure is some S is not P. So these four structures or four type of propositions are allowed in the logic, where S and P represent the subject term and the predicate term. Now here in the conversion, we will discuss that if any of these four type will be the convertend, then in the process of conversion, what will be their converse? That means if A, say A is the predicate part, say A is the premise part, then what will be the conclusion part of A in the process of conversion to form a valid argument or inference. Now in that process, let me tell you again that out of A, E, I, O, we have two affirmative propositions, which is A and I, and we have two negative propositions, which is E and O. A and I are affirmative propositions. E and O are negative propositions. Okay, friends. Now let's focus on the conversion process and the result of conversion applied on these four different type of propositions one by one. First of all, let's bring our focus to A type propositions. So, conversion of A propositions. Now, what happens to the conversion of A propositions? Let me tell you, before starting it, let me tell you that the conversion of any type of propositions may exist or may not exist. It depends on the different conditions of the nature of the propositions. So that will come to discuss one by one, and we'll come to know that where does the conversion exist and where it does not exist. So first of all, come to the conversion of A type propositions. So the conversion of A proposition is nothing but I propositions. Let me tell you that the conversion of an A proposition is an I proposition, but in some cases where the subject and the predicate terms of the convertant are co-referential, or the convertant asserts a definition, there the conversion of an A proposition is again an A propositions. So in general, the conversion of an A proposition is an I proposition, and in some cases where the subject and predicate, they both are representing each other or they are co-referential, in that special cases the conversion of A proposition will be again the same A proposition. Okay, friends. Now see the structure of it. If A represents all S is P, which is the convertant or the premise, then in the conversion the conclusion will be the I proposition, that is sum P is S, which is the converse of it. Now let it tell you that how this happens here. How in the converse process we obtain I out of A. Friends, you can see here that we have to, for the conversion process, we have to follow three basic rules. The first rule says that the subject and the predicate should be interchanged. So you see in the convertant or in the premise, S and P, subject and predicate are S and P respectively, but you see in the conclusion they are interchanged. Here P is used in place of subject and S is used in place of predicate. So their role is interchange. Now in the converse, the predicate is playing the role of subject and the subject is playing the role of predicate. This is the first law of conversion. The second law of conversion says that the quality of the statement should not be changed. That means if it is affirmative, then it will remain affirmative in the converse. So you see, A is an affirmative proposition. So the converse is also affirmative. That means we are not using negative or negation symbol here, or negative or negation words here. Okay, so both are affirmative. And the third one says that it should satisfy the principle of distribution. That means if the convertant is distributed, then the conclusion is also distributed. So here that means the quantity of the conclusion and the premise both should be maintained. Here you can see here the quantity is universal. We are using the word all, that means it is universal. So here also we will adjust, we will maintain the same with the letter sum. We are not coming to any particular, we are also using the word sum to represent or to maintain the same. So in this way we are coming to know that if A is the convertant, then I will be the converse of obtained in the conversion process. Let's discuss this through few examples. Say our convertant is a type of statement or proposition which represents all men are mortal. Then its convertant will be some mortal beings are men. Because we'll change the mortal and men, we will interchange their places. Affirmative will be remain affirmative and universal will keep the same using the letter sum. So this total, all men are mortal and some mortal beings are men, these two statements or propositions together, they form a conversion. So it is a converse interference. Now second example says that if A is the statement which represents all triangles are plane figures bounded by three straight lines, let it be the convertant, then its converse will be all plane figures bounded by three straight lines are triangles. And you can see it is again an A type of propositions, because I told you in the special cases, if the subject and the predicate parts of the convertant will be co-referential, they represent each other's or they give a definition for each other, then the A type will again become an A type in its converse. So you see all triangles are plane figures bounded by three straight lines. So triangles and plane figures, these two are subject and predicate parts. So that's why they both are bounded by three straight lines, and triangles, the plane figure bounded by three straight lines, and triangles, they both are co-referential, they mean the same. That means here the converse of A type of proposition will be again an A type of propositions. That means all will become all, affirmative will be affirmative if it is only the subject and predicate parts will be or terms will be interchanged. In this way we'll get the converse. Let's see another example of the same type where the A type proposition is all creatures with a heart are creatures with kidneys. So the conversion of this convertant will be all creatures with kidneys are creatures with a heart. Because if a person has a heart, if a creature has a heart, then it will definitely contain kidneys. These two predicate subject part, they are co-referential to each other. Say I will change this one. Say this A type of statement here, that all creatures with a heart are creatures with kidneys, I will change to, by our general formula, I will change to I type of propositions. That means in this way I will write some creatures with kidneys are creatures with a heart. It will be like this. Then what will be the problem with this type of conversion? Here if we will convert this, that all or some creatures with kidneys are creatures with a heart, that means it will say that there are some more creatures or some creatures left which have kidneys and they don't have hearts also, which is quite nonsense in discussions, which will not make any sense, which will be not a valid one. So all creatures with a heart or creatures with kidneys will be converted to all creatures with kidneys are creatures with a heart. So here A statement or A proposition, its converse will be again A propositions. So A proposition will be the converted and another A proposition will be the converse, because the subject and predicate, they both co-reference each other, or they are required for the definition of each others. So this is the conversion of A propositions, which says that the converse of the A proposition will be an I proposition, and in some special cases where the subject and predicate part in the convertent are co-referential or gives a definition or represents a definition, in that case, in that special case, the converse of A type proposition will be again a type and A type propositions. So this is the conversion of A propositions. Let's come to the proposition of E propositions, the conversion of E propositions. Now you know, friends, the structure of E proposition is it's a negation statement. So the structure is no S is P. The structure of E type of proposition is no S is P. So let an E proposition be our convertent. Then the converse of E proposition is again an E propositions. How? Let's see the structure. If no S is P is the convertent, then no P is S will be the converse. Because by the three laws of conversion, the first law says that subject and predicate will be interchanged in the converse. Second law says that the quality should not be hampered. That means if it is negation, it will remain negation in the converse also. And the third part says that it should satisfy the law of distribution, the rule of distribution or the principle of distributions, which says that universal will remain universal and particular will remain particular. So in this way, the converse of E proposition will again an E propositions. So no S is P. If it is the convertent, then the converse will be no P is S. It is quite simple. We can discuss this through one example. No married person is a bachelor. If it is the convertent, which is an E type of proposition, then its converse will be no bachelor is a married person. So only the subject and predicate part are interchanged, and by that we are getting the converse of an E type of propositions. Quite simple it is. Now come to the conversion of I propositions, I type propositions. We know friends, I proposition is an affirmative proposition whose structure is sum S is P. Sum S is P. So let I proposition sum S is P be our convertent. Then the converse of an I proposition is again an I propositions. That means if the convertent is an I proposition, that is sum S is P, then its converse will be also an I proposition where only subject and predicate part will interchange, that will be sum P is S. Let's discuss this through an example. Some men are rich. If it is the convertent, then the converse will be some rich persons are men. So how this converse I is obtained from I propositions? It also obeys the three basic laws of conversions that we have discussed earlier. Now the last one, friends, the conversion of O propositions. We know the structure of O propositions. It is a negation statement we says that sum S is not P. Sum S is not P. Okay, you can see that I'm not using any hyphen symbol, or this not and P is not joined together. That means this not is not associated with the predicate part P. It is included in the main statement, which represents the negation. Now sum S is not P. Let an O proposition of the type sum S is not P be our converted. Then we can see that the O proposition has no converse at all. That means O proposition cannot be converted. Why? Why an O proposition cannot be converted? Let's see. Let's see how it is, how to obtain the converse of an O proposition through the three basic rules of conversions. The first thing that we have to do is we have to interchange the subject and the predicate in the converted. Hence P and S would be our subject and predicate of the converse respectively. Further, the converse would be negative, as the converted is negative according to the second condition of definition of conversion. So far as its quantity is concerned, we have two cases for consideration. Case 1 where the converse is an E proposition, or case 2 where the converse is an O proposition. E proposition and O propositions. Why I am telling E and O? Because I told you at the beginning that E and O are two negation statements, and here the law says that if it is a negation, the second law says that if it is a negation statement, it will remain of the same quality. It will be again negations. So the conversion of a negation statement like O proposition will be another negation statement, and there are only two options for negation statements, that is E or O. So it says that the conversion of O statement can be E statement, E proposition, or O propositions. Now what happens in both the cases? Let's discuss case 1 where the converse is E proposition, and case 2 where the converse is O proposition. In either cases, S being the predicate term of the converse will be distributed in the converse without being distributed in the converted. Thus in both the cases,